Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to share with you my actual methodology, and I'm going to be explaining throughout what I'm doing, and you're going to see my notes, and you're going to see a lot of different attacks that I believe is going to be incredibly useful to you, especially if you're on your way to do the OSCP. So sit back, relax. I hope you learned something useful, and please enjoy the video. So this machine called Ledger. It is a hard machine for Active Directory. So yes, let us get into it. So this is an AD machine. Copy nodes and subnodes. And then let's call it Ledger. So yeah, let's get into it. We will export the IP as we always do. And then let's just make a directory called Ledger. And let's just prepare these terminals right here. Ledger, like so. Ledger, like so. And then this can't hurt. There we go. So now we can go back to our methodology and we can run this scan right here. So we can instantly see that we have DNS open, which is interesting. This should be a domain controller, but we haven't seen 88 yet. This is LDAP, so it's looking more like a domain controller. It does have a web server, which is interesting. And there we see 88 is open as well. Now it will do a depot scan on the top 1000 ports. And again, of course, if you're completely stuck or you need to specify specific ports to scan, then all you pretty much have to do is just adding like so. So it checks all of the ports. But for our purposes now, this is more than good enough because we can always stage as we get more and more stuck. So let's check for directories on the targets. We can see that this is instantly ASP.NET. So let's check it out. We can also see with Vaporizer as well that this is a IIS server. IIS 10 is definitely not exploitable. ASP.NET.client. This is forbidden. So we can see this path right here. So let's say, brute force this further. We obviously have a lot to check. So let's just get to work. So I like to run at exec SMB target, see if we can get a host name. So this is the hostname Labyrinth, and the actual domain is called THM local. Okay. So we do so. And we check for anonymous login always. Then let's see if we can enumerate users. We can't. Let me try a red brute as well. Most likely this won't work, but it actually did work. So that's why I just like checking it regardless. So now we have all of these users. A cool thing you can do now is you can go to their notes and then you can look up this cool one-liner right here. And pretty much what this does is that it grabs only the usernames. So the SID type users grabs only usernames. So if we do this and then pre-PenTest, it will run the same thing again. And I was going to test with the guest account with users and then root again. And I was also going to test the LDAP protocol and then RPC, etc. But this is good stuff. So now we have this user list. Let's see, was it all... It was all capitalized like this indeed. I might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but you've seen the methodology so far. This shouldn't be surprising. Let's see what the thing was called. thm.local. That's correct. And then user list, we can output that. So let's try Kerberoasting against all of these usernames that we just found. And there we go. We already found one user. Found all users with read-brute over SMP with netexec. Did Kerberoasting against all those users. Found this user. Let's see if there's more. Maxine. Okay, so we have actually found several users. There's no guarantee we can crack the hash, of course, because we need to do that. But this is a good place to start. So we have scanned all of the TCP. The main reason why we actually check this is because we want username, right? Next step, find usernames. So I still won't check this one off because I haven't checked public here or LDAP. But this one I have pretty much checked off. Test for Kerberoasting, try cracking. So this is the one we're on at the moment, right? So you can, yeah, you can use these notes however you want. So we put it into hash.txt. Let me cat hashes.txt. And we found we found 5 entries. Okay. So now we can do John. Against hashes.txt. And let's see if John can crack any of these hashes. Found 5 users. So yeah, while this is cracking, let me just take a small little break. So after the cracking is done, we can see that it did not find any passwords in a raw queue. And we can see that this is the right hash type. And it is also using the KRB5 ASREP, so it auto-detected the correct hash type. But it did not manage to crack any of them. So now I would like to try a different word list, sec list, passwords. Let me do this one right here. And then let's try cracking again. None in there. Let me just do like so. rectify this as well. If this doesn't work, then I don't think this is the way, so I will continue with other stuff. Yeah, it doesn't seem to crack. Try the 3 big word list. Can't seem to crack hashes. So these were the list that I tried. So let us get back. Whenever I get a bit like, again, I'm far from stuck, but this path didn't work. I just like to go back to the ports that we have, right? So we can still check RPC. I don't care that much about, because the main reason I would be interested in it is to get usernames, which we already found, which is awesome. We can definitely check LDAP as well. Actually, let me check one thing. So not exact. We're not able to use uses, correct? No. Let me try this over LDAP. That worked again. So this part, we can see, there we go. That's exactly what I wanted to find, or look for rather, yeah. So whenever you have a big domain with a bunch of users like this, please change it. This seems to be the 2 only users, right? Yeah. Found descriptions with netexec users over LDAP. Now you can also find this using BloodHound as well, by the way. So this isn't like a super magical technique. But it's awesome that we get to see all of this information, right, without any actual set of credentials yet, which is truly amazing. So that is cool. So now we can try Susanna McKnight and Ivy. So we again use our trusty netexec and we can use the username that, and then also change me. So we can see that those credentials are correct. Now I would like to check over SMB if we have if you have local admin rights. I'm not sure why it didn't, whoops. I'm not sure why it didn't output anything there. Wait, it is open, right? Let's see again. Winran. I suppose, you know, it is open here. Let's try with the other user as well. They have the same password. Another thing as well that actually makes sense to do is to... These are just the ones in the description. I would like to brute force this against all of the users as well. I think that would also be quite logical to do. If I can... if I can copy. Maybe you can't actually authenticate over it now, or on this box. And let me just check with this person as well over VMI. I doubt it will lead to anything, but it doesn't hurt to check. So obviously we have a lot of things to check, right? So we can check public shares, we can check their shares, we can check Kerberoasting is definitely a thing we should do, right? So just noting that. We have these set of valid credentials. Try spraying across the rest. Try Kerberoasting. So these are the two next things that I would like to do. But first, let's just kind of go through the list. Also, I would like to check Kerberoot. Sometimes there is a user that has a password that needs to be reset, and sometimes Kerberoot can tell us that. And that way we can actually reset the password for them. And depending on that person's rights, that could be powerful. So try Kerberoot against users and look for possible creds outdated. You can change. Okay. So let's first look for the normal shares. So we can't enumerate shares like so. Let me try with the guest user. Okay, so we can read the IPC, but it pretty much won't be anything interesting. Let's try like so with Ivy. It needs to be over SMD. Check shares. I'll do this later. Don't feel like doing it right now. But we have it in the notes, and that's the most important part, right? So I think Kerberoasting is a reasonable next thing to try. I'll try Kerberoasting and then spraying. And then Kerberoot, and then I'll go from there. So we want to use Kerberoast. And I want to use the one with in packets. There we go, something like this. So target, I think it was called local.thm. thm.local. The username that we want to target now is Ivy Willis. With the password of change me, and then we need to remember the exclamation mark, like so. And then let's request a TGT, see if we can Kerberoast. No entries found. Okay. Let me try Kerberoasting first, actually. Kerberoasting for usernames. And we can do it like so. So, teachem.local. Target. And then the user list we have right here. So these are only the usernames. So these seem to be valid. Yeah, and all of these seems to be fine. Let's see if I have something. Yeah. Maybe actually I see it here. Do you see this little purple right there? Password needs to change. Let's try that. So we can use MetaExec. It's the preferred tool right now. User list, and then the password. We would just use a simple password, like the default one that was given to 2 users. Let's try to brute force that against all of the other users. So this one has an account restriction, okay. And again, I will take a little break, and then I will come back and see how this... Now we are still brute forcing. So this is the Ivy Willis and Susanna McKnight that we already have seen. Let's stay in. Alright, so let's see how many users there are. 490 users, okay. So I also added on continuing success because it stops by the first gate by default, so this is an important flag to remember. Now, I think this is not open. Yeah, it's not. So we should check RDP as well. Actually, another thing as well that we can do is that we can just pretty much tee it like so, and then call it brute. Reason being is just so that I can grab for all of the stuff that has like a plus on it, or possibly says pond on it. It just makes it so that I don't have to parse through all of it, but yeah. I will once again get back to you. So I believe that it should be over in a little bit. Yes, and there we go. So now we can, as I said, now we can cat this brute, and then we can... I think this should work. Now we can remove all of these. Yep, and there we go. And there we go. So we found one that is actually vulnerable. We can obviously also do just this. And that will also work. It's easier. Alright, it's awesome. So now we have a valid set of credentials. On RDP specifically. Found valid. What am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. Found valid cred for RDP. Now, if this wasn't gonna work, I would once again go over the ports and see if there's any ports that I forgot, right? So, we could do some recon when it comes to DNS. That's something I probably would have tried. I think there's a tool called DNS Recon, yes. domain and then name server. Alright, so domain is thm local and name server is the target. So yeah, it can find some DNS related queries, like here it finds the SRV records, and it found this, for instance, which, what about, yeah, possible we could obviously brute force subdomains as well, but I would prefer to do that later, because if it's like an empty, if it's a rabbit hole, then it just takes a lot of time for no reason, right? So, all right. Awesome. So the tool that I prefer using is called, I think it's called X3RDP. Let's say X3. Alright, so I guess it's called that now. That's fine. So we can do target. Username would be Susanna McKnight. Password is strange me. Cert is fine, this is fine. Drive. There's actually something cool you can do, like, I think this is correct, let's say. This is the wrong password. Let's try this. There we go. So it was just a little space. Cool. So we found the user flag. And awesome. So let's open up CMD. Let's check out permissions. Sadly, she does not have any super interesting permissions. So she's a part of the remote remote desktop users. That's why we were able to RDP to her. And let's see net use. So what I actually did, which is very cool, is that with this command right here, the drive, I was essentially in the RDP session, I am pretty much having a share ready right there. So let's say if I want to run power up, then I can basically see Windows tasks. I can copy all of the files over recursively like so. So ideally, if you have the one for Windows and Linux, then you can just have Windows write. But for now, this is fine. So I will save you some trouble. The machine was blocking a bunch of the binaries that was transferred due to antivirus running. Now, that's not something you have to worry about with OSCP. And I did manage to get power up running, but there was basically no path at all. So the next thing that we will be performing is certify, right? So what essentially this does is that it tries to find vulnerabilities and flaws in these Active Directory certificate service itself. So this command, it's just using authentication because we have access to Susanna. And then we're targeting the domain controller, obviously, and then we're finding vulnerabilities. So what this tool now is doing is that it's checking for vulnerabilities in the certificate authority, and it's writing the output right here. So we can look at this and we can skim through it, right? So the most important part about this really is that these enrollment rights, these are the people that essentially can perform this attack. And what the attack is, so authenticated users or user Susanna is definitely a part of authenticated users. You could run BloodHound, or you could log on to her again with RDP and check her groups. And this is essentially the vulnerability itself, right? Enrollee supplies subject and template allows client authentication. So what that means is that anyone can essentially rewrite a new certificate and impersonate any user at all. So let's see. Yes, client authentication to true. That means that pretty much any user or any of these users can essentially create a certificate for any user they want. And that means that if you want to literally create a certificate for a user as a domain admin, then you can literally do this from this perspective. So we now know that we have this vulnerability. So the CRTO itself has actually a wiki on how to use this tool. So this is the enumeration parts. We pretty much did that with the way to scan for vulnerable templates. But now that we know that we have a vulnerability and we know that we are the one who can request it on behalf of basically any other user, then this is how we pretty much do it. So first of all, the tool is not called that, at least from me. The username that we want to use is Susanna McKnight. Password is change me. The IP is this. The certificate authority, I believe it specifies it exactly what it's called. Yeah. And the certificate authority is called teach him. Like so. And the template that we found with the vulnerability was called Serrat, right? Now, the user that we would like to impersonate is what's coming next. And we can go with administrator, that's fine. And then, yeah, let's forge this certificate with the access that we have. So we should never have access to actually do this, right? But that's why it's a flaw. Let's try that again. There we go. So now we have written this certificate, right? So then now that we have written that certificate, the next part is naturally to use it. So the way we use it is again highlighted in this awesome usage wiki. So we pretty much do this. And we named it Administrator PFX. So let's run that. And there we go. Now we now we have the MTLM hash of the administrator of this domain. So from here we can pretty much do whatever we want, right? So let us specify the administrator. Instead of a password, I would like to use a hash. And I would like to do like so. Let's try to authenticate like that. So let's see. The status account restriction. Right. I believe this user was actually disabled, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So, I see. Then we will have to find a user with high permissions that is not the administrator, and let's do it all over again. So let me just get BloodHound up and ready. So BloodHound. So if you haven't ran Docker.io or installed these, then you should. But if you have, then awesome. This is at least my preferred way of running BloodHound. All right, so we have the let's see, local host. It goes on port 80 like so. And then we would have to, let's say, yeah. So let us actually ingest some data. So you can do this like so. R and then we can remotely do this over LDAP and using NetExec. So let's say we copy this, we can put it in temp. And then from here, we upload some data right here. We go to temp. And then we add this zip file into BloodHound and we upload it. There we go. Now it's essentially getting ingested. And yeah, I'll be back once it's ingested. So now that the data is successfully ingested, we can go to the Explore tab right here. And then we can search up any person. So for instance, Susanna. There we go. We can click on her and we can see the description tag from earlier, for instance. But the most useful part here is to go to Cypher queries and then hit this folder right here. Here is a bunch of pre-made queries that is very, very amazing. So for instance, you can click right here and you will see all of the people that has these async rights. So you'll see that it's the main admins, enterprise admins, and administrators. You will also be able to see stuff like all Kerberoastable users. Now I believe there's none, correct? We tested for this earlier, and we also tested for acid roast. I believe there was 5 people, if I remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? Now, what we actually want to find out is who is the main admins, right? So we can see that these people are the main admins. So yeah, that's perfect. Let's go after this person right here then. And let's do all of the steps. Now, so let's just do everything over again. So after we created this, we parse through the output. We see that authenticated users, which our user Susanna Knight absolutely is a part of, has the right to do client authentication. To pretty much anyone. Client authentication, true. So yeah, this is the server auth template, and this is not good. So let me just write this down for convenience. History graph. UPN. Okay, that output is not good. So let us do this again. Make a request. From Susanna Knight. With this password right here. The domain controller IP is as follows. The target is this. The certificate authority is called this. And the template is called Serath. And then now, the user we want to impersonate. And let's say if root this was our over RDP, but yeah, both of these were. But okay, basically we saw that the user was not valid to be able to do this to the administrator. So that's why we are going after this user instead, called Bradley. What is this? And then we are using the THM but vocal domain. And then I believe we don't have to care about the SID. Let's request state certificates. It failed, let's try it again. Also, I have a, whoops. I have a spelling error right there. There we go. Somehow, we can do I believe this should prompt us to the hash. And then after that, I believe we can pretty much do pass the hash to authenticate with his with this NT part. This is LM. This is empty, yes. So we can try it over SMB. And there we go. We have our we have our way in, Brett. So from here we can do a lot of things. We can remotely dump hashes. We can actually get the shell. There, we can dump a bunch of hashes remotely. That's fine. Impacted PSX rank. Here. And now we're just dumping hashes across the entire domain, right? Let's stop for that. They have a ton of uses. Through them. And there we go, right? Now we have a proper show. So yeah, empty authority system. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something new. Now, if you enjoy how I teach and you enjoy this video and you want to take the OSCP, then what are you doing not being in this course? It's over 15 hours long and it covers everything that you need. If you're only watching the videos on YouTube, you're missing out a lot because it's over 15 hours of content. You will get access to the VIP section on Discord where you can ask me any questions and you can study alongside all the other students in our course. Right now, you will also get access to this checklist right here, which will cover at least 95% plus of all the attacks and all the techniques that you need to know for every single section. Not only initial access, but AD, pivoting, Linux, and Windows privilege escalation. And the goal for you is to reach proficient or at least basic competence on all of them. That's one of the things. We also have this entire roadmap right here, where there's a bunch of action steps and a bunch of cheat sheets inside all of these hyperlinks that I can't show you in this video. But once you have completed all of them, you know for a fact that you will be ready to get into the OSCP exams and absolutely crush it. If that sounds interesting to you, to get all of this in 15 hours plus of video footage from someone who has OSCP, who explains different attacks and techniques and methodologies, it's going to be invaluable to you. Now, some people are confused with the offer. If you're interested in the notes, these are the notes that you will constantly see me use in the videos, right? They're pretty much recommended to go hand in hand with the course, and I use them constantly in the course itself, right? So I think you'll find it extremely useful. That's also why we have the third offer, which is the bundle, where you can buy both of these together for a discount. I hope that clarifies things. Best of luck on your OSCP journey. I really hope this will be massively useful to you. I'll see you in the next video.